Hey, friends, I'm Wendy Joe, and this is the Grow Podcast. Welcome back, Ashley. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. The sun came out in Maryland
Oh,
and
nice.
we had a week of no sun. It's been rainy, it's been miserable. And so I'm really excited about the sun today.
I don't blame you. I know I lived in the Northeast most of my life, and I swear, there's so many gray days. I don't know if it's like that in Maryland, but there's often like long stretches of really gray days, and you're just like dying for the sunshine to come, so I can
Yeah,
relate.
yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. Today, I just brought my dog in. He wouldn't come inside because he found the sunshine.
Oh,
Yeah.
animals are so smart.
Mhm.
He's like, I need to soak this up. It's been too long.
Yeah, seriously. So
Well,
we wanted to talk about healthcare and spirituality.
yes, I think it's a really important topic. I'm an occupational therapist, you're a nurse, and I know in my career, I've run across moments related to spirituality pretty frequently working here in Arkansas, less so in Massachusetts, I would say.
Mhm.
But when I went to school, they taught us to stay away from that topic.
Spirituality altogether?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I said that surprised, but now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I don't know if they told us to stay away, but I remember one little paragraph in probably my med surge book that talked about spirituality. That was it.
One little paragraph.
That was
Wow.
it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I graduated in 1987, so it was a while ago. And that was the line of thinking at that time. It's not a topic that you delve into as a health professional. You try to skirt around it, avoid it, for a lot of reasons. One, you may have different beliefs than your patient or client. Um, and it could interfere with the therapeutic relationship. That was the idea, I think.
Yeah, and it's one of those topics in the mainstream that like politics and spirituality, you don't really talk about either
Mm-hmm.
because of the differences in opinion. And so I guess creating conflict amongst your client, your patient, um, I guess I could see why that would be the case. But as healthcare providers, I've found that we're deeply spiritual people because of the things that we have witnessed in humans, And so for a lot of reasons, I think the spirituality aspect of it is what connects us as providers and patients.
I think you're right about that. I think so. That was what I was taught, right? And that was the late '80s. I think things have changed a bit. Um, Although you're telling me that you had one paragraph and you didn't go to school that long ago, right? So I was thinking things had changed a little bit. I did take a course online not last year. It was a 1 hour course about this topic. So my vision may be skewed a little bit because they were talking about in that course how um, it may be an important topic between you and a patient, um, but yeah, I think that whatever your thinking is as a health professional, I agree with you that it can bind together you and your patient and create rapport, or it could separate you because of potential conflict, right? But if you don't broach the subject at all, you're missing a huge piece of someone's health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in order to really achieve healing, you definitely have to be spiritually or working towards spiritual alignment. But when I think about, even if I don't talk about like have a conversation with the patient about it, I think about like the death and dying process,
Mm-hmm.
like those moments where, somebody's in their last moments of life, or those moments where a patient is waiting for you, for not for me, for a family member before they die, and they prolong their own death in an attempt to wait for their patient or family, or in those moments where people stop breathing for minutes and then they come back to life.
Right. How can you separate out the spirituality of any of that? You
Yeah.
know, I would even add to that, you know, the birth of a child,
Oh yeah.
the miracle, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if you discount the spiritual aspect, it's like taking, you know, the spirit out of mind, body, spirit, just removing it and saying, "Oh, this doesn't matter." You know, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think we want to focus on the physical nature of those experiences. You know, I think here's what I think. I think that in order for us to be whole, you mentioned in mind, body, spirit, like those are all interconnected. And what healthcare is uh, aiming for, it seems like, is to only focus in on the physical experiences that we're having. And so that's what they're calling like the provider client relationship, is only that physical connection that we have with them. But I think it ignores the thing that makes us human, which is multifaceted, and it includes all four aspects of our experiences. And so I don't know, it's just it's weird that we want to, and I guess that's also the reason why we don't want to deal with it, is because it's also what makes us different, because everybody's connection is different.
Right. That's very true. And we'll be right back. You know, when I went to occupational therapy school, we were taught to never, ever discuss religious beliefs or spirituality with our patients. We were expected to learn to deliver holistic care, considering all aspects of the patient. So it doesn't really add up. I think if you're a health professional of any kind, it's really important to consider, does spirituality fit into healthcare? And if the answer is yes, how can you fit it into your practice? And we're back. This week we're talking about spirituality and healthcare, as Ashley and I are both healthcare providers. Um, do you have any specific incident from your career that you can think of where you really felt like spirituality made the difference in your nursing ability at the time?
Yes. So one lends to the other. So the first time I ever saw a patient die, it scared the crap out of me. I worked in, it was when I was a tech, so I was 19 years old. And I had a patient who was alive, walking, talking just fine. Um, she was one of my favorite patients because she was so easy to care for. She could get up, go to the bathroom, all the things that made my job easy. And she was nice, so I could talk to her. It was great.
Uh-huh.
And I remember her asking me to help her to the bathroom. I said, girl, you know, why you need me to take you to the bathroom? She was like, I don't know. I just don't feel it. I said, all right, got you. We'll walk to the bathroom, walk to the bathroom. We got her back in bed, settled in, and she was like, she needed her inhaler, which was also new and different. And so I said, okay, I'll get your nurse, tell her to come back. Walked up. I could hear her on the phone with her daughter. And she's like, I might not see you tomorrow. You know, I said something along those lines as I was walking out, called the nurse. The nurse said, okay, got it. By the time I went to heat up my food, she was already dead, essentially, but they called the code, did chest compressions on her. And by the time before my food even finished heating up, by the time I got back to her room when they called the code on her, she was already dead.
Wow.
And so I was very, very overwhelmed with the experience of witnessing the death, first of all, because I
Sure.
hadn't seen anything like that at 19 years old. Um, but I think the thing, like after the fact, that kind of freaked me out, as I recalled those events, she already knew.
Hmm.
And so as I was going through my nursing school program, they talk about this thing called impending doom, where like you already know that something bad is about to happen to you. And she had that experience. And
Right.
so how could it not be spiritual?
Mhm. Right, right. And um, when you described it, I kept thinking, even from the first part, the how she wanted someone with her, she must have had, some kind of premonition. She knew what was
Mhm.
happening, you know, and so, um, as a health provider, I don't know if at that time you felt like you were sensitive to that, and you were, or you just were going with the flow, doing what she was asking you to do. Either way, it could be called a spiritual experience, I think.
I think so too. I mean, I don't think I recognized it at the time. That experience scared me. It scared the crap out of me. Um, and I think what made it harder was that when I would tell people about it, it was like, well, this is what you signed up for.
Oh, right. That toxic positivity, right? In a way, it's kind of falls into that category, like not let you have the emotional experience or have an outlet to talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. For me, it's been interesting working in the South. I think that people who are Christian here are very outspoken, and I've been in many clinical situations where their Christianity was brought into it, and it was very surprising to me, especially coming from when I went to school. We don't talk about these things. We don't pray with our patients. Certainly, do not. And I see that here. I see people praying with their patients. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I think for some patients, it makes them feel more comforted. That's their frame of reference. That's what they're used to. And when a nurse says, "Oh, let's pray together," that makes them feel more comfortable. If someone said that to me, um, being raised a Jewish person as a minority, really, and especially here, um, it wouldn't comfort me so much, even though I have nothing against Christianity or Christian prayer. I don't know if it would comfort me. I'm thinking back, like my mother always said to me, always take prayers from anyone who's giving them. Like, don't, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. So that's kind of came into my mind as I'm saying it might not comfort me. I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts about praying with patients, about any of that?
Um, I prefer not to pray with people I don't know.
Right. Uh-huh.
Um, and it's only because you don't always know intention. And so I shy away from even offering prayer to others because I don't know. But I do create intention for other people in the way that I see as divinely fit. And that's as far as I go.
Okay. Now, what if a patient asked you to pray with them?
I would hold their hand and let them pray.
Yeah. Right. So that sort of falls into the category of, having them feel comfortable, something they want at the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And I think everybody deserves to be able to do anything that makes them feel comfortable when they're going through a difficult time.
Right. Right. I think I agree. I think um, we're just seeing people. I'm not sure if what it has to do with how it happened, but we are seeing more people talking about their spirituality, in a clinical environment. At first, I thought it was because I was here in the South in the Bible Belt, but I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
maybe people are maybe a little more verbal about it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think this is a different space and time where everybody can choose how they identify, what they believe, and how they feel. I think it shows up for me mostly in my kids, where, I mean, some of the language that they're allowed to use was, I didn't use it. It wasn't something that I would be comfortable as a child saying. But these kids feel very comfortable and empowered to use any type of language they so choose.
Uh-huh. It's a different world, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I do think that there is a shift occurring and just acceptance of just everybody's personal experiences. And so, how they approach spirituality or how they identify in certain areas, I think that's more acceptable now than it ever has been.
Right. Right. And the same goes for talk about your religion or your spirituality. I think it's important to recognize that people come from all different kinds of traditions,
Mm-hmm.
and it will impact how they even view health and wellness. You
Yeah,
know, some religions, have different, you know, diets that you can't eat certain things. So a person's spirituality or religious beliefs can really impact how they take care of themselves.
absolutely. Certain rituals and just general practices will play a part in just their overall human experience. So to ignore it, you're ignoring just the whole human, half
Right,
the human.
right, right, for sure. And we will be right back.
Have you heard of the Cannabis Nursing School? It's a place where cannabis nursing, entrepreneurship, and spirituality meet. The Highline Tribe is waiting for you, and it's so easy to find. CannabisNursingSchool.com.
Hey there, friends. If you're an intuitive like me, you have thoughts and feelings about your own health and sometimes the health of others. What you're dealing with is medical intuition, but you probably don't know how to harness it. Hey, I met this wonderful woman named Gina, and she's doing a training on medical intuition with her company, The Heal World. Let's face it, there's lots of people getting sicker and sicker, and they often don't find answers with mainstream medicine. We have lots of technology, but we're missing the key: medical intuition. If you'd like to learn more, you could email her at gina@blisslife.com or give her a call at 352-888-2100. The Heal World. And we're back. I'm sorry. I think I cut you off a little bit there on the end the last time. Sorry about that.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I think, we've been talking about spirituality and healthcare. And I think in this part, it would be great to talk about a possible future place for it, how it could look, what it could look like in the future.
So, first of all, I think anybody who has ever had a conversation with me about the idea of healthcare, it's broken. Like, it's just a broken system that is barely functional. And so I think there needs to be a significant revamp in how we offer care and optimize wellness as a whole. And so I think that will require um, the quote unquote holistic approach to healthcare. And so I think everybody has a different idea of what holistic means. Like if I say holistic, some people be like, oh, you mean just herbs? Or somebody be like, oh, you mean just diet? And it's like, no, we want to look at the whole patient.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that'll include the modalities to helping people achieve the tools, but also just recognizing how comprehensive we are. So not just focusing on the physical, but emotional, spiritual, and then even mental capacity.
Mhm.
And so that's
Yeah.
my sublime world.
Right. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. We have been in a very symptom based system of healthcare where they divide up the body between, I don't know, six, seven doctors who barely talk to each other.
Right.
And that's what we've been dealing with. And the costs skyrocket. Use of pharmaceutical drugs has skyrocketed. As my wife and I last night were talking about, the intersection basically of, the Industrial Revolution and our food being mass produced and not
Yeah.
local, and the increase in pharmaceutical drugs. And it's kind of where we are now, what's happened, and what people go through with their health after eating a lot of processed food, a lot of white sugar, white flour, and adding drugs instead of looking at root cause. So I am with you. I am with you. It's all broken, and we have a lot to do. And I think spirituality could be the key, really, to pulling together a more comprehensive, holistic model for healthcare. Um, I think I say that because it's the spirituality that really connects us
Yeah.
as humans.
Yeah.
So, you and I are no different from patient X who walks into the clinic and just wants to feel better and continue to be able to work and take care of their home and their kids, and we're all connected by this
Mhm.
thread, of love, really.
Yeah.
And I think for some reason it's been poo-pooed to really talk about it as part of the holistic health model. And
Yeah.
I think we need to change that, Ashley.
Yeah. You and me. Let's take over the world.
Yes. If only we could rule the world. um, but, I think by tapping into that thread, like provider to patient to provider, like, I don't know, I think we could see a big positive change.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think I agree that that's probably the missing link because you're right. That's the thing that makes us one. That's what ties in the collective thought, the collective ideologies that we live by. And
Mhm.
so if we were able to acknowledge that fact, I think all the things that make us different physically wouldn't matter as much.
Right. Right. And by just recognizing that and using it to the advantage of well care instead of sick care and
Mhm.
root cause healthcare management, you know, it just that thread gets stronger. I think by leaving it out and saying, "Oh, this doesn't make a difference to a person's health," I think we're really doing a disservice to patients.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, this has been a great topic. I think we could explore it, all day probably. But, we've solved a big problem right
Yes.
here in this half-hour show. So hopefully they'll just listen to us and then we can move on.
Right. Right. Let's get on with it.
All right. I hope everyone has a great week. Bye.